Live from your trusted local news source, KCRG News starts now.
Welcome to our 6 p.m. live show. I'm Jackson Valenti. We've got a quick couple of our top stories this weekend so far. The first one is coming out of Iowa City, and it's at the University of Iowa. The University of Iowa now has a Center for Intellectual Freedom, which essentially is trying to establish some problems, or at least what they believe are problems, at the universities, the big universities throughout the state. Essentially, what they argue is that the universities throughout the state have become too liberal and more conservative ideas need to be introduced at some of these universities. Here's some video from a meeting yesterday. I want to pull it up real quick for you. So at the meeting, essentially these guys are arguing that the universities are not doing a good job holding debates across both sides of the aisle, and that it's been very politically lopsided over the past couple of years. Now, on the other hand, I talked with the president of the Board of Regents, and he essentially said that what is happening at the universities is an issue. He sees it as a problem. There's too many liberal ideas. There's not enough conservatism on the big three campuses that the Board of Regents and that he, Robert Kramer, oversees. I also talked with a teaching assistant who is both a graduate student and a teaching assistant at the University of Iowa, who worries that what's happening with the Center for Intellectual Freedom isn't necessarily that they're trying to establish an open dialogue, but instead that perhaps they are pushing instead for more conservative ideas, and it's a thinly veiled attempt really to push their own ideas. I want to give you a chance to hear from both of them real quick.
My big takeaway from this one is that if you've got a system in place that's kind of has a particular political bent, how are we going to get inside there and kind of bring some balance back to it?
They aren't interested in making sure that universities are a place where there can be open inquiry and discussion. They're really more interested in furthering their own goals.
Now, obviously, you heard from both of them. There are two pretty well competing perspectives at this point. The panel that they held yesterday was called What is Wrong with Universities? Essentially, they were looking at those problems that I already mentioned, the problems that essentially boiled down to there being too much liberalism in college campuses throughout the state of Iowa. And today, a message that they're holding, a panel that they're holding that is a panel on can universities be reformed? While that panel hasn't necessarily fully finished, up to this point in the day, what they've discussed so far is that effectively universities cannot be fully reformed because this has happened for so long. What they say instead needs to happen to sort of quote unquote fix that issue is that universities need to push for the Center for Intellectual Freedom having more coursework that students are getting involved with. They want those courses to be popular. They didn't necessarily indicate that they would force students to take those courses that are offered by the Center for Intellectual Freedom, but they certainly said that they want to make it popular so a lot of students are taking those classes. At the same time, they wanted to reduce the amount of gen eds that people have to take, and they also said that they want courses to less focus on social ideas like oppression, race, sexuality, gender, kind of some of those maybe that could be perceived as more leftist ideas. They wanted that to be less of a focus in those future coursework. We will have a more in-depth piece on what those meetings held tonight, and you'll hear from Governor Kim Reynolds, who was at that meeting, but certainly definitely pushing for less liberalism and more conservatism. And you heard it from the president of the Board of Regents himself. He even said pretty clearly that he believes that more conservative ideas need to be introduced into college spaces. For our next story of the day, it's a change to the way that teaching degrees or loans, around teaching are being handled. That story comes from Grace Vance.
UNI freshman Jalen Peterson is studying elementary education and says she's dreamed of becoming a teacher since she was a kid.
I've always wanted to be a teacher, actually. I just love working with kids.
She's not taking out any student loans now, but she says she might have to for her master's degree in administration.
When you're freshly 18 or freshly starting a job, you don't have that money racked up to just pay for grad school right offhand. So loans are definitely important to getting your education and getting a good education.
Director of Financial Aid Tim Bakula says students like Peterson have been asking about upcoming loan caps for some graduate programs like teaching.
There are many students that are concerned, am I going to have enough money after my graduate level $20,500 that's available to me? And unfortunately, some of those students are going to need to look at private loans if they're already maxing out.
The National Center for Education Statistics shows more than half of U.S. public school teachers have a master's degree or higher, meaning this change would affect many students who go on to become teachers.
what might that mean for students thinking, I just can't do this if I don't have a federal loan available? I think that's a very legitimate concern.
And while Iowa's teacher shortage this school year is less than the national average, there are still open positions with no one to fill them in Iowa's schools. This change in loan policy could exacerbate the problem.
Really work with your aid office to determine what might be your best path forward.
For Peterson, decisions about grad school are still a ways off. She's just eager to get her bachelor's and start leading her classroom. In Cedar Falls, Grace Vance, KCRG-TV9 News.
For our next story, we're going to be looking at a story from KCCI, our coverage partner in Des Moines, looking at some safety tips around how to heat your home during wintertime. Of course, during the wintertime, there are many fires that are caused due to fairly preventable means. Oftentimes, firefighters will warn about keeping your oven open, trying to heat your house with the oven or the stove, perhaps. Generally, that can be a huge fire risk. On top of the fact that a lot of people use different types of mobile heaters inside the home that generally are meant for outside, those can easily catch things on fire if they're above carpet, if they're next to drapes. So obviously a lot of dangers there. We're hearing from Pepper Perov out of KCCI.
Fighting fires isn't easy, but when the winter weather rolls in, the snow, ice, and low temperatures firefighters encounter on calls can make it even more complex. When temperatures plummet, fire risk rises.
We may see an uptick in those type of calls in the winter months just because we're spending more time in our homes and using different appliances to heat our homes.
According to the department, 1 in every 5 home fire deaths involve heating equipment. And the next 3 months, average half of all heating fires. Captain Laura Lyons with Des Moines Fire says if your furnace isn't firing, never use ovens or stoves to heat your home, and use caution with indoor portable heaters.
Make sure that you have it at least 3 feet away from anything that can burn. Make sure that you plug it directly into the outlet and that you don't use an extension cord. If you happen to leave the room, make sure that you shut it off, or if you go to bed, make sure that you shut it off.
Lyons says the winter also brings more risk of carbon monoxide poisoning, and to make sure detectors are in good working condition.
Important to have a carbon monoxide detector in every level of your home, especially down in the basement if that's where your furnace room is.
When emergencies happen, small actions can make fire crews' jobs easier.
If you have a hydrant out in front of your home, make sure that you're maintaining at least a 3-foot clearance and shoveling out that snow. That helps us tremendously.
If you are in an emergency, don't waste time looking for a coat before evacuating.
Get outside as quickly and safely as possible.
The fire department has even more tips about how to stay safe. You'll find that linked on the KCCI website under this story. In Des Moines, Pepper Papura, KCCI News, Iowa's news leader.
Up next, we will have AJ with our weather, but before then, I wanted to shout out a show that we're doing on our streaming this upcoming Monday. The First Alert Weather Team is going to be wanting to make sure that you're ready for winter. They're having a First Alert Winter Ready show on our streaming at 6:30 on Monday. The weather team's going to talk about what you can expect for snow this winter, the impact of climate change, and how daylight affects your mental health. They're going to be having that on our streaming, so if you don't have our KCRG-TV9 streaming app, highly recommend downloading that as well. You'll see the link for that actually in the thumbnail for this YouTube page, but we also post it all over. You can simply just search for KCRG in the App Store, and you should be able to find that free to download. But like I said, up next, we will have AJ. We will hear from him in just a second. Welcome back. We've got AJ here for weather. Obviously, it's been a pretty weather-filled week.
It has kept me busy, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
we are seeing more of that weather as we go into tonight. Another round of snow to add on to what's already out there. So the holiday season's in full swing, certainly feeling like it across eastern Iowa, looking like it too.
Yeah. How much snow did we end up fully getting? By the time I had measured it, and this was only last week, Saturday at this point, at I want to say like 8 o'clock, it was at least 8 inches in my driveway.
So the official Cedar Rapids measurement was 8.4 inches. Now there were many measurements that came in from not only viewers but other reports around the area of higher than 8 inches, 10 inches. Marion had a report of 12 inches. So 8 is kind of the low end of what we saw in our area. Widespread amounts of 10 inches, over a foot. Some places near Waterloo got up to 14 inches or even a little higher than that.
But we are not getting a big break. Tell us about that.
No, that snow does come in tonight. We're going to get another 3 to 6 inches as that snow starts over the next couple of hours. Some of our western counties already seeing that snow falling, and then we're going to be seeing, again, that continuing as we go into the night tonight and wrapping up by tomorrow morning.
Let's take a look at some of the stuff that you've got prepared for us here.
Yeah, so plenty of snow on the ground right now. Everyone knows that that has been the case over the last week or so. Winter really came in with a bang after taking long enough to get here with that very mild fall we had. But now we do have that first alert day, and that is for tonight into early Sunday morning as we continue to see that accumulating snow impacting the area. We have seen our winter storm warning expand farther to the east, now stretches to include Cedar Rapids, Maquoketa, just to the south of Dubuque, and winter weather advisories elsewhere as that snow will be falling through the night tonight. Here's a look at where it is right now. That moderate to at times heavy snowfall moving into our far western counties, just to the west of Waterloo at this point, south of Mason City, but that's what's coming our way. That snow will continue as we go through the next several hours, and as it does so, we will see degrading road conditions. So right now, things are looking good across the eastern half of the viewing area, but farther west, partially to completely covered roadways, and you can see back in western Iowa, road conditions have been going downhill, and that is coming our way as the snow moves through during the overnight hours. So travel are the big impacts that we're going to be watching for. You can see roads in the Waterloo area do have some snow on them as those snow showers are starting to come down in and around there. Dubuque on the other hand, still looking at fairly dry, quiet roads, but that will be changing there overnight. Same with Iowa City, where their roads currently are looking in good shape, but will be degrading through the night. Same with Cedar Rapids. You can also see traffic moving along nicely. If you do have errands to run tonight and will be going out and about, you're going to want to make sure that you have all your errands done as early as possible, and then consider staying inside until we get to tomorrow afternoon when those road conditions do improve. Right now, temperatures are in the 20s across the area. Winds are fairly light and variable, and we are seeing that snow that will move through overnight. By 10 p.m., all of eastern Iowa is in on that snow. Carries through the overnight hours. By 1 o'clock, it is wrapping up in our western counties. Our eastern counties get done with it as we get into your Sunday morning. By 5 a.m., those snow showers are out of our area. We're looking at mostly cloudy skies, and then we will see decreasing clouds through the morning into your Sunday afternoon. Mostly sunny during the rest of your Sunday, but we're going to be seeing some falling temperatures as well. Now here's a look at our snowfall forecast in terms of totals. 3 to 6 inches across the area, and then that heavier pocket is expected in and around the Waterloo area. So yeah, it is certainly going to be
Waterloo
snowy.
was already getting some of it, maybe.
A little bit, and yeah, you know, those roads around Waterloo, and we saw just a minute ago on the DOT cams, snow showers are falling there, and again, could see up to 8 inches in that spot. So just another reason you're going to want to stay inside.
Yeah, certainly. I don't know if I was paying good enough attention. That seems like a little bit of a heavier forecast than I originally thought. I thought it was going to be maybe 3 to 5 max. Now it's 3 to 6. Has it gone up?
It has trended upwards, yes. As this system's gotten closer, we've seen those snowfall totals kind of tick upwards, and here's why that is. So a lot of times during this time of year, we'll get what are called Alberta clippers. They're small, weak, low-pressure systems that track from Alberta, Canada, down to the southeast across Iowa, give us light.
Alberta.
It's a very fun name to say. A nice ring to it, Alberta Clipper, and it's because they start in Alberta, just off the downwind side of the Rockies.
Now, AJ, you've got your red tie on, and I want to be a little bit nice to AJ here. We're being mean to him and forcing him to go on. 3 minutes left in his Super Bowl right now, 28-7, Georgia, Alabama. Yep. We don't need to talk too much in depth about it, but the Dogs are in control.
It's not over till it's over, but I'm just going to say this. I'm a lifelong Georgia fan. Parents went to UGA, and they met it while they were at UGA, so we grew up watching Georgia games. I have waited my entire life for us to have a game where we beat Alabama like we are ahead of them now. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's been a very exciting night for me, but of course keeping an eye on the weather, keeping up to date with that as well. But quite a bit going on, both in terms of sports and weather across the country tonight.
We're lucky to have AJ's optimistic demeanor. The past couple of years could have certainly made a villain out of an ordinary fan. But we appreciate you. That's all we got for our weather so far. And we'll hope for AJ's sake that the last 3 minutes of this Georgia-Alabama game has no terrible surprises in store. Up next will be Jack with Sports. Thank you all for joining us. We will be back in just a second here. Jack joins us now with sports and huge win for Iowa State. Tell me about it.
Big day for sports in the state of Iowa with all the hoops going on. Let's talk about Iowa State. They beat Purdue, the #1 team in the country, 81-58. Purdue had not lost a non-conference game at home since 2019.
Wait a second. Okay, repeat that stat for me. Six years.
So this is a non-conference game, obviously. Purdue's in the Big Ten. Purdue had not lost a non-conference game in Mackey Arena since 2019. So they have lost non-conference games.
That's
They've
a crazy
just been
stat, though.
at neutral courts.
That is
so you got to
insane.
give Purdue credit for hosting Iowa State. But Iowa State goes in and wrecks them. Let's show you some of the photos.
The highlights
because highlights, are on TV, so we can show you them.
Photos.
Highlights are, we'll show you them at 10. Can't show you them now because we're streaming. But obviously all smiles for Iowa State because they were absolutely lights out. 47.8% from three. They make nearly half of their three-point shots. They shoot 54% overall. And they were great on the boards too. 11 offensive rebounds led to 7 second chance points. And the TJ Otzelberger calling card is really defense, and Iowa State did it. They forced 15 Purdue turnovers, and Purdue was only 22% from the floor, from three, I should say, from behind the arc. Purdue's got one of the best point guards in the country, if not the best, in Braden Smith. Returning first-team All-American, could be a first-team All-American this year. And he got outplayed by 2 Iowa State point guards, Tamin Lipsey and Kilian Torre. They were all great. Leading scorer was Milo Momcilovic, who had 20. But I just want to highlight Torre, who doesn't often show up in the box score. He had 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals. But Torre was all over the floor. And then the guy you see dunking it right there, Blake Buchanan, had 12 points, 9 rebounds. 4 of them were offensive rebounds. So he was the guy kind of bringing Iowa State those extra possessions. Those second chance points are huge. Honestly, Iowa State didn't even need them because they just blitzed Purdue so well.
Yeah, I mean, really, really strong scoring. And you mentioned the defense there. I was just going to ask, was it more of a rough night for Purdue, or was it just defense showing up? I mean, I'm seeing 4 for 18 from 3. I mean, kind of an ugly stat line for certain.
Yeah, it's hard to see. It's hard to know for sure. You got to go back and watch the film, and I'm curious. Maybe once TJ Otzelberger does watch the film, he'll probably say something in his next media availability about it. I'd guess it's a little bit of both. Purdue just kind of having an off shooting night, but you have to trust the history of TJ Otzelberger's teams, and they're one of the best in the country every year in defense. Year in and year out. Now they're up to number 2 overall in KenPom. KenPom is an advanced statistic that's been around for a little over 2 decades.
I know just enough to have heard about KenPom.
Yeah,
I don't know the details of it, but I know just enough to have heard.
Basically, it's an advanced stat that tells you how good are teams relative to every other team. So if you're a team like Iowa State and you beat up, earlier this season at least, you beat up on a lot of non-Power 4 teams, you still might be pretty high in KenPom because you're beating them by more than you're supposed to beat them by. Sure. Exactly. And then if you win games against a team like Purdue close, you'll move up in KenPom. You know what I'm saying there? It's advanced. We don't want to get too in the weeds, but if you win, it helps.
Wins and bad losses matter.
Yes, exactly.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
And KenPom ranks Iowa State as a top 10 offense in this sport, which is incredible because just a few years ago, they were really hanging their hats on defense and they had a mediocre offense, got them to the Sweet 16. Now they've got a great offense and a great defense. Why don't we take a look at what some of the players had to say, this video courtesy of Iowa State Athletics.
I think it just shows we're a really good team, really connected. To come beat this team by 20-some points, it shows a lot, just the connective of this group. And Purdue's a really good team. So the way we played today, the way we shared the ball, I think it just shows we're one of the best teams in the country, and you got to be scared to play us.
Our guys are doing the hard work every day. I think our approach to practice has been good. It's going to need to continue to stay good. I think, maintaining a humility, when you're able to, have success, win a game, do those sort of things, and immediately just get right back to the next thing, which is get back to the practice court, get back to work, and have fun doing it. And these guys have done that to this point. It's very early in the season. Like you said, there are only 9 opportunities in. We've got a ton of games out in front of us. So, the main thing for us is keep the main thing, no distractions, keep doing the work, earn the right to win, and put yourself in position to win every night.
So that first guy you heard from was Milan Momcilovic, who was asked, what does this say about your team? You're able to beat Purdue this well. So he wasn't just, saying that out of the blue, but he's got some well-earned confidence because Iowa State's, they've got a case to be the best team in the country. AP poll comes out at the beginning of the week. I think realistically, Iowa State fans, you might see them as high as 3 or 4, maybe in that range.
Top 5 is not crazy.
It's not crazy. If I had to guess, I'd guess, based on the teams who have lost today, I'd guess number 5 for Iowa State, which certainly isn't. It's not bad. And TJ Otzelberger,
I would take it.
Yeah, and Coach Otzelberger, as you heard, he's just like, move on to the next thing. He's not going to be publicly showy at a press conference, but in the locker room, that's a little different. I'm sure he was celebrating.
Yeah, sure, but cool, calm, and collected guy.
Cool, calm, and collected, exactly. Yeah.
Cool, calm, and collected. Fair enough.
Yeah, let's move on to Iowa, who picked up a big win over Maryland. 83-64 was the final score. There you see Buzz Williams, the new head coach at Maryland. They were 6-3 coming into this game. Iowa with just the 1 loss to Michigan State earlier in the week. And this is kind of a weird sandwich game because you got Iowa State Iowa plays in the Cy-Hawk game at Iowa State next week. And they lost to Michigan State on the road earlier in the week. So can this game be sort of a trap game? Answer is clearly no, because it was all Bennett Sturtz early. He had 13 first-half points. He was 3 out of 4 from 3 in the first half, finished with 25 points, and was 4 of 8 from 3-point range. Bennett Sturtz is
seeing a lot of him.
Yeah, he's kind of he's turned into what Iowa State or what Iowa wanted him to be, which is just like that killer on the offensive end, one of the best point guards in the country. Iowa fans were loving it, as they should. Alvaro Figueres hitting a 3. We also saw Tate Sage. I think he was the best game in his early Hawkeye career. He had 12 points, 4 rebounds in 20 minutes played. Sage, the true freshman. Also really loved the 2 big lineup from 2 guys who are kind of too small to be playing center, but are both just good power forwards. Tavion Banks and Cam Magnow. I thought they were both very good together, and I liked the way they were passing to each other. Actually, the highest box plus-minus on the floor was Cooper Koch, who was plus 28. That means Cooper Koch, when he was on the floor, his team scored 28 more points than the other team. Basically means if you're on the floor, your team's scoring well. If you got a high plus minus, you're doing okay. Koch was 3 out of 4 from 3-point range. And as you're seeing it, it was a lot of Sturts early. But I gotta say, this Iowa team is very, very balanced. They're scoring. Just about everybody is scoring for them. They had 4 guys in double figures, and Tavion Banks was right behind with 9 points. They were shooting quite well at 41% from 3, 54% from the field. Didn't turn it over a lot. 10 turnovers total, and they actually turned Maryland over a lot. 18 turnovers led to 21 points. In conclusion, Hawkeyes win this one big. What's interesting, Jackson, is that they kind of beat the teams they're supposed to beat by a lot. The worry for Hawkeye fans might be, what can they do against fellow top 25 teams? I think we'll get our answer against Iowa State coming up. Obviously, they took a tough loss to Michigan State. Is that a trend? Iowa loses in games against similar or better opponents? Or can they buck that trend and compete with Iowa State in Ames?
I have a little bit of a personal vendetta. I see the 25 points against Bennett Sturts.
Yes.
He, on Drake last year, absolutely cooked my Tigers.
Yes.
I mean,
Drake fans remember the upset Drake over Missouri last year.
He just killed us. I mean, single-handedly almost. I want to say he put up 32 on us. I don't know. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad for us. It was not bad for him.
Yeah,
he was draining everything.
He was great, and it was certainly good for Iowa fans, because I'm sure Iowa fans have gone back and watched those highlights of Bennett Sturts in the NCAA tournament, thinking, what can he do against Power 5 competition? It's been pretty good for Sturts, because you got to remember, this Sturts was a D2 player a couple of years ago, moves up to Drake with his head coach Ben McCullum, transfers to Iowa, and just like that, we're talking about him as an NBA prospect, and you kind of see why. Sometimes he's quiet, he's just kind of the classic point guard, distributing, and then sometimes he steps back and makes big shots. We didn't necessarily see that against Michigan State. If I'm just going to give you a quick early preview of the Cyhawk game in Ames, at least for the men, Iowa State's going to be favored, but if Bennett Sturts can take over, Iowa's got a really good shot.
He certainly, high-pressure situations do not seem to shake him, at the very least. So. And I may be biased as a Missouri fan.
We looked that up, by the way. I'm sorry you guys are looking at me, but go ahead.
Yeah, having watched him absolutely cook my team in the tournament last year, just taking deep contested threes and just draining them all night long. It was really something to watch, for sure. It was very much a defensive game.
That game you're referencing, he had 21 points in 40 minutes played, 4 assists.
Okay, so I definitely over-exaggerated.
Yeah, over-exaggerated, but it feels like 30
Regardless, in a game in which my whole team scored 57, he was cooking us.
Yeah. So far, the Drake Hawkeyes, as they are sometimes nicknamed, because a lot of them transferred over from Drake.
They followed the coach.
They're doing
am I correct
okay.
in saying that?
Say that again?
Did they follow the coach? Am I correct?
Yeah. Ben McCullum goes from Northwest Missouri State to Drake, and then from Drake to Iowa. And Sturts, I believe, is the only player to transfer to all 3 schools. So like I said, Drake Hawkeyes, a lot of the guys on Drake last year have now transferred to Iowa. Guys like Cam Manio, Tavion Banks, even Tate Sage, that freshman I was mentioning before, he was committed to Drake, young player out of Oklahoma. He was committed to play at Drake, and then Ben McCullum said, I'm taking the job at Iowa. Tate, do you want to come? I'm paraphrasing. Tate, do you want to come with me? And Tate was like, yes, wherever you go, I will go. So that's another guy he kind of transferred over. Stinks for Drake, obviously, and Drake fans, but Iowa fans are loving it so far. It's still a long, long season to go. Ben McCullum gets his first Big Ten win at Iowa.
I'll tell you more in-depth and details coming up tonight at 10.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good. I'm going to, of course, point you all in the direction of our 10 p.m. newscast. Much more of our top stories, more in-depth, more reporting there, more local news. At 10 p.m. Of course, at the same time, download our KCRG app. All you have to do in the App Store is just go ahead and search KCRG. Should show up free to download on any mobile devices. But until then, we will see you this evening. Thank you so much.